Yeah, I may have a copy of Space Jam or two.
So as you can see right there, I have a lot of copies of Space Jam, and there's a reason for that. Um, Space Jam was a big part of my childhood. It came out in 1996 when I was 7 years old. Michael Jordan was the biggest sports star in the world at the time. You could see Looney Tunes pretty much anywhere on TV, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, ABC, the WB, Fox, uh, just anywhere on TV you could find them, and that was just like the perfect time for that movie to come out. And it was one of my first major movie memories I had because I was so excited when I saw this movie. I mean, I grew up in Pittsburgh. I didn't have an NBA team to support, so I always rooted for the Chicago Bulls, and I love the Looney Tunes. And this movie comes along, and I mean, it's hard not to get excited for that when you're 7 years old and you like all those things coming together. And as a kid, I loved Space Jam, and as I grew up, I still love it, but I love it more knowing that it's not a perfect movie. It's a very heavily flawed movie in a lot of places, but I still enjoy it. It's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. It's right up there with Speed 2 Cruise Control is one of my big guilty pleasure movies. So the reason why I bring this up is because there's a new Space Jam out this weekend. Space Jam: A New Legacy, this time featuring LeBron James in the Michael Jordan role, and all the Looney Tunes are back in here, and there's a lot more technical advances in this movie compared to the other movie. So, yeah. When I first heard about them making this movie, I was not too thrilled. I didn't like this idea of them trying to relaunch the Looney Tunes with another Space Jam movie. I wanted to see them kind of do something different, but I mean, as it went along, I wasn't really all that excited until I saw that first trailer, and that first trailer really piqued my interest. I liked the ideas that they had. I liked the creative approaches they were taking to that, and it got me a little bit more excited. And finally, the movie comes out, and I gotta be perfectly honest, I really had a great time watching this movie. I had a blast. I really enjoyed this movie. This is probably one of my favorite movies of the summer so far. I think it's, I mean, it's not, I mean, In the Heights right now is kind of the top tier right now. Quiet Place Part 2's up there. This is kind of right below Luca, which I'm shocked by, because Luca it's a Pixar movie. Pixar usually delivers can usually deliver a good movie, and Luca, I like Luca, but I was a little bit disappointed by it, but I still enjoyed it. But this movie, I enjoyed it's in my top 3 of my favorite movies of the summer, and it's not a perfect movie. It's like the original Space Jam in a lot of ways, like the way it's structured. It's very similar to the first Space Jam movie. There are a lot of flaws here, but there is a lot of enjoyable elements in here that I think a lot of people are really overlooking. When I look at the reviews for this, everybody keeps talking about how, oh, this is nothing but a feature-length commercial for HBO Max, which they're kind of true on, but at the same time, it's a fun feature-length commercial for HBO Max. I mean, like, the part they're talking about, it's not even bad either. It's really funny seeing the creative ways they bring all these Warner Brothers properties in here, even some that take you completely by surprise, like they do the DC superheroes, and they do The Matrix, they do Wonder Woman, they do Austin Powers, they do Mad Max, and the ways they work around these properties and put these characters in here, it's very funny and it's very creative what they're doing. Like it's one of the stronger elements of the movie. One of the other stronger elements is the animation, which is fantastic on both fronts, 2D and 3D. There is a lot more 2D in this animation in this movie than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. The trailer's giving it credit for. The 3D stuff doesn't happen until they get to the big game itself, and all of it is really good. I really like the 2D animation. I really like the 3D animation. When they have to blend these together, those two elements, it creates some of the most fascinating transitions I've ever seen. Like, when my favorite scene in the whole movie is when the big game's about to start and the 2D Looney Tune world gets completely turned into this 3D world, and all the characters are turning 3D, and like the scene from the trailer where Bugs is turning into from 2D to 3D. That still gives me chills when I'm watching this movie. And I'll talk more about Bugs in this movie because he actually has one of the stronger elements of the film. But yeah, but like that scene right there, the way this movie blends the 2D and 3D animation is incredible, and I can't believe a lot of people are talking about this, looking more over the flaws of what they want, why they didn't like the movie, which I think a lot of people are really hating on this movie too much. I really do. I don't think a lot of people. It's one of those things where you get those movies. One of those movies every once in a while where people, they're already set to hate it for some reason. Whether it's the person involved, in this case, it's LeBron James. Which, look, I don't hate LeBron James. I like him, but I'm one of those people he's no Michael Jordan. Like, he's on in terms of like his NBA status and all that. Like, I still prefer Michael Jordan over LeBron James. But I will say this for LeBron James. He's proven he can be a pretty good actor, more than Michael Jordan. But then again, Michael Jordan was very, like, he didn't go the acting route. He didn't go for the typical. He only had one movie, and that was Space Jam. He didn't pull a Shaquille O'Neal and did Kazam and Steel to try to get his name into Hollywood. But LeBron James, I've seen him in a couple of movies, and he's been really good. I saw him in Trainwreck a couple of years ago, which was very good. He has a small role in Smallfoot, which was very good. And here, I thought he wasn't gonna be one of the major problems of the film, but in a way, he kind of is. Like, he's not terrible in here, but I expected him to be acting a lot better than he does in this movie. I think he's trying a little too hard to be serious. I don't think he has that perfect balance of whether or not he wants to be serious or he wants to be silly. There are times when it works, but it's not all over the place, and it's not throughout the course of the movie, and I kind of wish that they had more than that. I still think he could be a pretty good actor, not just on the court, but on the movie, in the movies. But I think I thought he was okay. I think he could have been a lot better in this. The casting in the whole of this movie is very good. Like, Don Cheadle plays a great villain, a great over-the-top villain, Algie Rhythm. And I like this idea that Warner Brothers basically makes their movies based off of the algorithm that they have there, which is which you could make the argument that it's kind of a satirical element they're bringing to the movie industry itself. But I don't know. I mean, they didn't really go full into it, but you could pretty much make those comparisons there. The voice work here is top notch. I mean, you've got some great voice actors here. Jeff Bergman doing a lot of the voices, including Bugs Bunny. I gotta say, Jeff Bergman really gives it his all as Bugs Bunny in this. They do a really good job giving Bugs a big storyline here about how he sees the other Looney Tunes characters as family. And I gotta be honest, there are times when it gets a little bit of emotion. Because when they have an emotional moment with Bugs, it actually does kind of work. I was really surprised by the way they handled that. I think the Looney Tunes as a whole are done very well. One of the big question marks is Zendaya as Lola Bunny, which I like Zendaya. I've seen her in a lot of good stuff. She's great on Euphoria. I saw her in Malcolm and Marie on Netflix earlier this year, which was very good. She's done a lot of good stuff. She's in the Spider-Man movies, which, yeah, she's usually really good in those. And when I saw that she was going to be the voice of Lola Bunny, I was kind of curious on how they were going to play it out. And she's okay. Like, she's not... Like, how do I put it? She's not really, like, the central focus of the movie itself, but she has more of the moments with LeBron James, and I think that it's fine. I feel like they could have done it a little bit better, but I do like that it's not the same Lola Bunny from the first movie. It's kind of a mix of the Looney Tunes show, Lola Bunny, mixed in with a newer Lola Bunny. Like, she's not over-sexualized. She's not talking about "Don't ever call me doll." She's actually, like, trying to be a part of the team, and she's actually doing something here. I kind of wish they did a little bit more Looney Tune-ish wise, but I mean, she did just enough. I think it was a fine performance from her. What else do I want to say here? Like, I talked about the animation. The visuals are fun too. It's fun watching the visuals in this movie and seeing all these different cameos from all these different Warner Brothers properties. There are some that even took me by surprise that I thought were kind of amusing and funny. Like, there's one I won't spoil, but it involves the Tasmanian Devil and two certain sci-fi animation characters. You can take your guess at which ones they are, but that was one of the funnier moments that really took me by surprise. This movie has a lot of good funny jokes. There are a lot of cringe-worthy moments here and there, but they're not terrible. They're just more kind of like, it's cringy, and you really could have taken that out of the movie, and it wouldn't even serve a purpose. I do like how the family has a bigger story in this movie compared to the first movie. Like, the wife in this movie, played by Sonequa Martin Green from Star Trek Discovery, she has a lot more to do in this movie than Michael Jordan's wife in the first movie, who barely has at least 2 scenes in the movie, and she really doesn't serve much of a purpose in that movie. But in this movie, she does kind of serve a purpose here. One of the other flaws I had about the movie was that it takes itself seriously too many times. Like, there are lines in this movie that sound like the actors are trying to force an Oscar-worthy performance out of this, and it's like, it's Space Jam 2. You don't really have to bring your A game to this movie, but in terms of acting wise. But I mean, for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. The most I was hoping from it is it's as over the top, it's as silly, it's as fun as the first movie, and it is. And I like the creative push that they took to make this stand out more on its own. Like, there are some elements in here that I thought were really funny. I like the uses of the Warner Brothers properties in this. The animation is great. The visuals are fantastic. The acting is okay. Could have been better. There were some moments that they could have cut easily, but for the most part, I was very entertained by this movie. I would highly recommend this movie. Go in there, have fun. It's a good summer popcorn blockbuster, and I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy this movie more than a lot of people are going to get credit for. I highly recommend checking this movie out. So that's my thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy. I'll see you guys next week for another Movie Stop episode. Until the next time I see you, take care.